This is Seawolves. Storm or not.
Good morning, Seawolves. I'm Peter Bayandon. I hope everybody's staying warm as we really start to experience the fall weather. Me personally, my scarf's coming up, my hat coming down, and my glasses fogging over until you can't see an inch of my face. We've got big news to discuss coming out of our own Kenneth P. Laval Stadium. But before we get into that, we'd like to acknowledge that this broadcast is a joint production with the students at the School of Atmospheric and Marine Sciences and our peers at the School of Communications and Journalism. For those of you who follow sports on campus, we've received some breaking news this morning that may pique your interest. We're going to throw this over to Mike Anderson for more updates. Mike?
Yes, thank you, Peter. Good afternoon to both you and all the Seawolves who are probably reveling in the news right now. Just after 10:30 this morning, Stony Brook Athletics announced the firing of football coach Chuck Priore. The 63-year-old has been at the helm with Stony Brook for the last 18 years. His firing comes just 1 year into the 3-year extension that he signed in the summer of 2022. The university will now have to buy him out for $675,000. Overall, Priore posted a 97-101 record with the Seawolves and led the program to its first 4 playoff appearances ever. However, the team never won a championship under him in the 12 seasons in the CAA. After suffering a 2-9 season last year, which was originally the worst season in program history, the team one-upped itself and went 0-10 this year, making this a rather easy decision for athletic director Sean Hilbrun. You know, Peter, $675,000 could afford around 48 in-state tuitions at Stony Brook University, student tuitions.
That's so crazy that sports matters more than our future. Thanks, Mike. Well, despite all this firing, the weather is still quite cold. We go over to Chelsea with the one-day forecast. Chelsea?
Thanks, Peter. While you're inside toasty and warm, I'm out here in the cold by the Javits Center, and it looks like the weather's here to stay. Today, there'll be a high of 48 and a low of 43, and 6-mile-per-hour winds coming from the south. Although it's pretty sunny outside, don't let that fool you. Remember to bundle up and maybe grab some hot coffee on the way to class. Back to you, Peter.
Thanks, Chelsea. This cold weather is a big change from what we experienced last week. Thursday was warm and sunny, which provided great conditions for a demonstration. We set out to join the Stony Brook Muslim Association, which hosted a demonstration on campus, consisting of about 200 to 300 students in support of Palestine. Here's what we found. We've had 3 Free Palestine protests in the last 2 weeks, one on November 2nd and 2 consecutive protests on November 9th, starting at 12:30 in front of the SAC and ending at 3 in front of the administration building.
Your silence and collective silence has the capacity to encourage and aid a genocide. A genocide. Say it with me. This is genocide. This is genocide. But our voices united have the power to change that.
The protests call for an end to the invasion, for the U.S. to stop funding Israel, and for Maury McInnes to acknowledge Gaza's suffering. It also acts as a counter to the almost exclusively Israeli point of view in the mainstream media.
The international community and our school must recognize and condemn the atrocities occurring in Palestine. The loss of innocent lives, the destruction of homes, and the displacement of families is a tragedy that must end. It is crucial that the world unites to pressure all parties involved to seek a peaceful resolution to this long-standing conflict.
For the next protest, keep an eye out for posters. For more on the extreme violence in the Middle East, we turn to our foreign reporter, Christine Kelly, to bring us up to date. Christine?
Multiple U.S. officials say that negotiations are underway to free the hostages taken by Hamas and other terror groups after the deadly October 7th attacks.
The negotiations are delicate, they're high stakes.
2 officials say one sticking point. Hamas has not produced a list of hostages it holds, or would be able to free as part of a deal. The White House has confirmed a 3-year-old American is among the kidnapped. In an NBC News interview, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu was asked if there's a potential deal.
There could be, but I think the less I say about it, the more I'll increase the chances that it materializes.
As the death toll in Gaza passes 11,000, the World Health Organization says that Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, is no longer able to function, with deaths mounting. Israel's military released videos they say shows 300 liters of fuel, a relatively small amount, being dropped off near the hospital to help with operations. They accuse Hamas of blocking hospital workers from collecting it. Meanwhile, the U.S. has carried out strikes against an Iran-linked training facility in Syria.
We'll do what's necessary to protect our troops.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the strikes were in response to attacks on U.S. service members there and in Iraq. Well, Peter, there's a lot of concern about a third front opening in Lebanon. Experts doubt that's happening right now, but there's still mystery behind the scenes. Hostage negotiations in Qatar are clandestine. We don't have many details yet, but we'll see how things develop. Meanwhile, the world's attention is focused on the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, where babies are in dire need of intensive care. Officials are saying that Hamas is tumbling under the hospital, and while we haven't seen any proof of that yet, that's something we're really keeping our eyes on this week. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, has promised to help evacuate the premature babies whose ventilation systems are no longer dependable in Gaza's biggest hospital. So let's hope it's not too late for the 36 babies in critical danger at this moment.
Thanks, Christine. Now we're going to throw this over to Costa so we can get a glimpse of what we're in for the weather this week. Costa?
Thanks, Peter, and a happy Monday the 13th, Seawolves, as we get closer to the relief of Thanksgiving break. This week's weather is generally really nice with a nice fall feel, typical of November, my favorite month of the year, although December is a close second with the holidays at the end of the semester. As Chelsea said, we can expect today to be chilly with a high of 48 and a low around 43. Tuesday, we can expect a high of 51 and a low of 35 under windy conditions, especially in the morning, gusting to 25 miles per hour. Wednesday has a high of 51 and a low of 41 under sunny skies. Looking ahead, Thursday, we can expect to be warmer with a high of 58 and a low of 46. Friday, we will be monitoring a cold front with a low pressure system potentially moving up the coast, bringing some unsettled weather Friday afternoon into the day on Saturday. The showers do keep the warmer temperatures in place, with Friday being the warmest at 62. Sunday will be drier, sunnier, and cooler, with highs in the upper 40s and lows around 34. So this week, bundle up, rake up those leaves, and enjoy a nice apple cider. Back to you, Peter, at the desk.
Thanks, Costa. Well, now I know why they call it November. Since it's officially time to break out the heavy coats and layer up to warm our hearts, I'm going to bring us back to Michael Anderson, who's going to give us the latest in sports. Michael?
Hey guys, remember me? I'm here to bring you some good news this time around. All the hardwood sports had a great week. Let's start with the women's volleyball team, whose glimmer was stolen by the football team earlier today. But the fact of the matter is that the ladies just pulled off an excellent in-season rally. After falling to 10th place 3 weeks ago, the women's volleyball team won 6 consecutive matches to ascend to 5th place in the CAA. This past weekend, they swept crosstown rival Hofstra in Hempstead to secure a playoff berth. They will now take on Charleston this Thursday at 4 p.m. in Towson, Maryland. Both basketball teams had good weeks too. The women opened their season after rallying to beat Columbia 85-73 on Monday before stomping on Lemoyne 82-61 on Saturday. The men's team lost 90-74 at St. John's in Queens on Tuesday night in Rick Pitino's debut with the Johnnies. But it bounced back in its home opener on Friday night with a 91-50 blowout win over Division III St. Joseph's Long Island. That's all I've got for this week. Back to you, Peter.
Thanks, Mike. It's nice to finally hear some good news from a Stony Brook athletics story. I had a great time here with my first anchoring gig, but it's time to bring the show to a close. That's all we have for this week, so enjoy the fall foliage and have a great week, Seawolves.
This is Seawolves. Storm or not.